Hey guys, what's going on? Jacob here. So you decided to become a web developer. Great. Being a web developer is an amazing job, and there's nothing quite like seeing your work come to life on the screen. But there are also a lot of misconceptions about the gig as well, and those can lead you to make poor decisions. So today, before we start learning anything about web development, I want to bust those misconceptions that you might have about being a web developer so you can make the proper decision for yourself about whether this is something you want to do or not. So let's get started. So this is super semantic, but don't think of yourself as a coder or a web developer. Yes, technically you're both of those things, but don't think of yourself as those things. One of the things early on that changed my way of thinking immediately and made me a much better developer came my sophomore year of college. My professor said that we weren't coders, we were problem solvers. And that resonated a lot with me. Everything we do as coders and programmers is to find a solution to a problem, and that translates directly to web development. We're trying to solve the problem how to get certain data to be printed out onto the page, or how to move an element from here to here across the page. Breaking down web development into smaller problems of which you're trying to develop solutions for makes it so much easier, especially for those larger websites. So, from now on, you're not a coder, a programmer, or a web developer. You're a problem solver. There are people and books out there that will tell you that you can make an easy living by being a web developer, and that's simply just not true. Sure, you can make a decent living off of being a web developer, as shown by the many people out there already who are doing it, but it doesn't come easy by any stretch of the imagination. Those people who are successful today took many, many years to reach that level. I'm extremely thankful for Christopher Harris at Faith Growth, who took a chance on me in 2014 by hiring me as a development intern to help me realize that this is something that I could make a living off of. Now, I don't think this is something that should make or break your decision about whether to become a web developer or not, or whether to start your own web development business, but it's something that you need to be thinking about as you sort of make these decisions. And you need to be very cautious about how you start. You're not going to be making bank right away as a web developer, so don't quit your day job, at least not yet. Then, if you do find that success and you're able to support yourself with web development, then you can quit your day job and go full-time. But as you start learning, don't expect to be instantly raking in all the cash. So I jumped into web development and completely ignored anything about web design outside of how to use CSS. That was a mistake. The early sites I made, namely for a football site I ran, were not good. Like, they weren't 1990s terrible, but it was obvious that I had never cared to learn anything about web design. As I started in web dev, you might be tempted not to learn anything about web design. Maybe like myself, you're just not that creative type of person, and so coming up with design is very hard for you. But you need to try at least to learn some of it. You don't necessarily need to become a master of web design, but you're going to be using it throughout your career. You'll need it to make good decisions when it comes to what looks good on the screen and what doesn't. So, in the course of your learning, make sure to learn web design. I know I'll be talking about that on this channel as well. A website is not a singular thing. When you're done creating a website, either for yourself or for someone else, you've only completed a step in the whole process. Websites are a living and breathing thing on the internet, and you have to maintain them. As you go further into being a web developer and doing it as a business, you're going to want to maintain those sites, which is something you can also add to your business. You're going to need to make changes when they're warranted. If you're using WordPress, you got to make sure that your plugins and WordPress core itself are updated for security and other reasons. And you always need to make sure that the site is secure. If you're going to be a successful web developer with clients who trust you, your work on a website will never be done. You're not going to learn everything that there is to know about web development from this series and channel. Heck, you might only learn half of what there is. That's not what this channel is about. I'm still learning new things about web development every day, and everyone who calls themselves a web developer is also learning. It just never stops. Instead, this channel is about giving you a start or a boost in your learning about web development. It's about teaching you web development in ways I wish I was taught when I was learning. And it's also about introducing you to cool things you can do on the web. You'll hopefully learn a lot about web development here, but you should also be learning about it in other places as well. Finally, I want to recommend this book for you to read as well. Carrie Dills, one of the co-authors of the book, is an active member of the local WordPress community here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and she knows a ton about freelancing and web development. It's not quite out yet, but I highly recommend you go and read it once it does come out. I'll be sure to let you know when it does come out because it's that important for you becoming a web developer and a freelancer. In the meantime, I'll link to her keynote talk from WordCamp DFW last year in the description down below. It was absolutely amazing. It's what I needed to hear, and it's what everybody really needs to hear. So what questions do you have about being a web developer? Leave them down in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. But that's all for today. Good luck and happy coding.